Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Flex and Joe back to do another recap and review of NQ, VIX, and ES, and we will be talking about Monday, November 11th, aka Veterans Day. Thank you to all who have served, right? Let's go over the charts. Let's start on NQ. So NQ, you can see we were at all-time highs. On Friday, we closed right here at 21,234. And immediately we gapped up on Sunday night and we were just chopping, right? We were just kind of stuck within this range of the first 10 minutes for quite some time. You can see we peaked over it, came back down, we peaked over it again, rejected, and then ultimately came back down and broke it into the open. But specifically going into the open, what did we have? We had a bearish CBC flip right here. So you can see that we're trying to bounce on VWAP. We put in a very weak flip bullish and then flip back bearish. The next candle follows through, closes basically near the candle's low. We get a little pop up here in the open and then we flush, right? So bearish going into the open. On VIX, what did we have? So VIX, following Friday's close at nearly 15, gaps up overnight and consolidates sideways for a while. And as it consolidates sideways, what you notice is these EMAs, the 9 and the 20, right, 34.50, they're all bullish now, which is bearish for the market. And they go sideways until price action catches up. You catch a little bit of a bid here, so to speak, in between the two of them, which happens frequently, and you push up. Now, the only difference here is you did get a very weak CBC flip short, which is bullish for the market. Sorry, I had to yawn because I'm that boring. Right before the open, and so you can see it actually pops down, it like gaps down and it tries to move down, which I think is when you would see the you'll see that little pop on the market, and then once it starts to reclaim and push back up, and then especially the following candle, you get more confirmation for the bears, right? But again, this right here, this was off of a key level, right? It pushes over this sort of high right here, and then it starts to fade, right? So that's the VIX. Let's move over to ES. ES closes here at 60.27, all highs, gaps up, and ES was different than NQ, right? NQ was stuck inside the range of its first 10 minutes. ES just kept pushing and pushing till it broke over 6,050, and then it fails, right? Your CBC short all the way through the open, right? You're choppy, and then it flushes down, and it finally breaks under that low range there. Now, aside from this, one of the things that I typically see when we have a gap up that looks something like this, right? And then we get this price action in through here inside the golden zone where we can't close below it, and we're not having filled the gap. We typically pop up. We're popping up and rejecting the opening print right here, and we are likely to continue to fade down and fill the gap, right? Which is exactly what happened. That's one of the things that I frequently watch. So looking at all three, though, let's just see how the trades would have lined up. Off of the CBC short, bearish, short, bearish. This is a short, very like micro flip, but ultimately we're still bullish over the EMA. Right at session high week for VIX. I would just be cautious there. Immediately you can pop up and flush through VWAP, right in here. VWAP also hit A's, which are crossing under the bearish stance view. This pops up, which is also bearish, and then we get more of the divergence that we saw on Friday. VIX is trailing off, and VIX trails off hard. One of the things to note about this hard trail off in VIX is that the market doesn't move, right? The buyers are not responding, and this is just moving back down towards filling its gap up, which it closed here on Friday. Just moving back down, the market's not responding. Overall, you're still in a bearish stance, and the unfortunate thing here is, although you are making right lower high here, lower high here, another lower high. Well, you're making these lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. You're not getting the CBC flip back bearish until all the way over here at 12.10. Now, the interesting thing about these midday flips here, which seem to be happening more frequently, 12.10 flip, 12.10 flip, 12.10 flip. Now you have all three in alignment. So this is where, when you have all three in alignment, you get those very high probability trade setups. And if you look at this, right, like I said, from this point, you're really eyeing that gap fill level right here. So you get in on either of these pullbacks here at 60.34, 60.33s, right? You're targeting 27. Your risk could be pretty small, even if you risk, 3-4 points, right? It's a 2-to-1 risk reward, and then it continues to just trail off, and you actually get a pretty fantastic short just from here. The short here on NQ worked the same way, very similar. Doji. I know it showed some indecision here near the low of day. Probably fake some people out as a very large candles, but you have to wait for the close. Remember, wicks do the damage, bodies tell the story. Lots of damaging wicks here, but ultimately you can see that we're just really rounding off. And the price action remained bearish, right? You are in a very bearish stance, 9 under the 20, under the 34, under the 50. Right? You never break over this 10-minute 20 throughout this whole entire curl down until you break under Friday's session low here and then pop back up, right? Because this was Friday's RTH low. Friday's session low was in here. So pop back up, you break over the 9 and the 20, right? But you can't close over it. Comes back down, starts to base on the orb low, pushing up into the close. So if we look at this flip here, this is the 1320 flip. That's bullish flip. You had already technically flipped bearish here. So you were already bearish. You were bearish in through here. This is a nice rejection. And now you start getting them. They're not being so divergent, but they're more in line, right? Same thing here. So this was the other trade that I would say was pretty good because you had all three in alignment and you had good reason to try the long here, right? Once you have the flip, you'd be looking for a long entry right in this area. Once you have the flip, this is where NQ is tough. It doesn't give you that much of a dip here. You know, you have to take it. Obviously, it's very strong, but if you don't take it and you miss it, that's fine, right? You can wait for another more probable setup. Not every setup or not every move is meant to be traded, right? So you may miss it there, but for the ES traders, this was fantastic. It pushes up. It does consolidate some more, but you know, from this, the 20s, you know, it does push up to the 30. So, you know, you're not going to catch that whole, you're not going to catch the whole move. All right, you're not going to catch the whole move, but you know, you could easily have gotten 7 or 8 points out of that right there, which is, you know, 8 points is $400. But VIX moves down pretty decisively. It does get a pop up here. Once that gap is filled, it's moving lower. It pops up here at 1510. This turns what should be bearish for the market, but the market just keeps pushing, chopping here, and you don't flip back short for the rest of the day. So in the last hour, things can kind of be tricky, especially in the last like few minutes. If you pay close attention to it, really, I try to watch like the first few hours of the day, as that's when I'm primarily trading. And then if I'm looking to trade later, I really want to make sure that I have all three in alignment. I do want to rewind though and call out this CBC flip right here. So, you know, you have the flip off of the orb low, right? So you have an orb low fake out, it pops back up, you get a CBC flip here. This is pretty weak, right? You know, so if you wait, you still see some more indecision here. You're still very extended. It looks bearish. Then it pops back up. Now, when you get, by the time you get this pop here, right? Now, if we look at this, this is 1010, right? So you get the flip bearish here at 10 o'clock. You get a flip up here at 1010. So now 2 out of 3. And now you have all three in alignment by 1030. But once the time this flips up here at 1030, you know, if you waited for this pullback and got in long, it did work because you waited for the pullback. And let's just say you got in right around the 50% mark, which would be around 37. It's still pushed up about 5 points. It's still a successful trade, but ultimately it's a trade that just, I would say, fails to grow legs and continue going because the bulls just don't have it. The bulls are just showing, you know, some weakness. They just, again, VIX is falling, but the bulls weren't doing anything, right? So then when you get this flip off the low, that was really the better setup. So a little bit indecisive here off the open. I do really like this sort of, this cross here, this cross down on the EMAs as you got it on both of them. Let me know if you took any trades, you know, on Veterans Day, maybe how you did, where you took your trade. Hopefully it panned out well for you all. Good luck in the markets, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.